Hello everyone and welcome to KTG Armory. Thank you so very much for joining me. I think we have something a little bit special to go over today. What I have before me are three different kit setups. Why do I have all three kits on the table? Well, as you have seen, this is part one of a series that I am trying to do looking at the loadouts from the characters in the Battlefield 6 campaign. Specifically, we're looking at Dylan Murphy. I wanted to take a look, see what he was using, see if I could replicate it with the kit I had on hand. But then also too, I wanted to take a look at what potentially the kit could have been, given that we are going back to a campaign setting for Battlefield 6. They wanted to bring us new characters. They would have given us a definitive design for them. What could it have been? And then as always, these are Marine Raiders apparently. And so I thought, well, Marine Raiders not being accurately depicted most often in video games, what is a good representation of a Marine Raider loadout? And that's what we've got today. We are going to be looking at their headgear, their uniforms, their weapons, and really diving into it, well, at least diving into it as far as my tism will allow, and really see what it is that Battlefield 6 got right, got wrong, or what it could have been. Everyone, thank you so very much for joining me, and let's get into the video.
Let's get to work.
All right, and the weapons. Now, before we get into it, obviously, our disclaimers. I only own a portion of everything that I am showing to you. A lot of this, or actually the majority of this, is on loan to me from Modern Night Productions. So again, huge thank you to them. And then what is my relationship to EA and Battlefield Studios? They obviously have no idea who I am, and probably after this video, this will prevent me from ever having a relationship with them. But that's neither here nor there. So let's take a look at it. Starting off, let's see what actually are they using in the campaign. Now, obviously it's a video game. You're gonna swap through many different weapons, guns, gear, everything like that. But for my purposes today, I'm looking at what we saw originally in the release trailer and kind of just the general aesthetic that we keep seeing these guys with. So what they are using in the video game is your standard M4A1 rifle. It is this. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing really interesting about it. They're using the 14.5 barrel length. I believe they have a different type of flash hider on it, but it could be the standard bird cage. It could just be the 4-prong, a 3-prong. I did the best I could, and I thought they might be using a 4 or 3-prong, so I threw that on there. They obviously have the folding front sight base. Now, this is the very first thing I'm gonna say. M4s with a folding front sight base, a standard Knights Armament Picatinny rail, and pretty much everything else, your regular waffle stock. This isn't a waffle stock, this is a SOP mod. That has almost never been issued. I don't know why developers think that that is the standard. They had the regular one in Battlefield 4 and it was great and I loved it, and then they went to this. Call of Duty did the folding front sight thing too for a long time. It was really a niche thing, but to the extent that you see it in a video game is really just anachronistic and it shouldn't have been used. It should be your standard A-frame front sight post. That's really what it should be. So this is basically exactly the same aside from the grip, the stock, and the front sight. You have your EOTech XPS. It is not an EXPS. The EXPS is the one with the throw lever on the side where you can quickly take it on or off. This has a screw or an Allen screw, so you can either do a flathead or an Allen screw. The one they have in there is the one with the Allen key screw. And then they also had a folding rear sight in the back. Basic M4, really nothing to write home about, really not that interesting. That's that. Now for their handgun, I have here a Glock 19. This is an airsoft gun. Everyone who's freaking out, all of these are actually airsoft for the moment.
Are you serious?
Didn't really feel the need to redo my actual ones into these configurations because I already had these set up, and this is more for autistic purposes as opposed to anything else. Artistic purposes, some could say both. In the game, they're using M17s. I do not own an M17. I'm sure a lot of you watching this video already know the controversies and things that were happening with the M17 program. To represent what they've got, I've got a Glock 19. You can have a Glock 19 in the game. It all works, it's fine. that's your basic setup. It's super boring. It's super unoriginal. They could have gone a lot better for it. And that is what leads me to what it could have been. Now, a lot of you are going to look at this and say, isn't this the exact same thing that you just showed us? And no, it is not. So this is actually a C8 SFW in the Norwegian pattern. This is what I really honestly thought they were going for. When I first saw the gameplay, it was the guys, they were on the box, they had sort of the shorty version of this, and they were shooting through like the giant cardboard boxes trying to hit each other, and it was really just kind of like a spec trailer. And this is really what I thought they were going for. I couldn't really tell what the front sight was, and I just saw it was folding, and it looked kind of like this style. This is the only, as far as I can tell really, rifle platform that looks like your standard M4 almost exactly, except for the front sight. Now, this is Norway's Special Operations rifle. Norway, along with the UK, Denmark, I think the Swedes had it for a little bit before they transitioned to something else, but they all contracted Colt Canada, and they all got the C8 rifle, and they all got it in individual patterns. The Norwegian pattern is identified by its folding front sight. So you see it has a reinforced gas block here, and that was to help in mounting a grenade launcher. The Norwegians wanted something that was folding, and so this folds up and it folds down. But this is really cool because the C8 pattern rifle is something specific to a lot of the European SOF, and I thought that was going to be something Battlefield 6 was going to be really doing. This may look like a standard M4, but it's not, and you could put it in the game as a C8, or you could do like a C5 or something if you're looking for the trademark. But the main differences between this is its gas block and its barrel. This has a 16-inch barrel. The Norwegians also often swap out the standard A2 grip that would come on these for a Magpul MOE grip. You've seen Hogue grips. We've seen a ton of other grips and stuff on the Norwegian rifles. And they also swapped out often for a Magpul CTR, STR, or this one is I think it's just an MOE stock, is what this one is, because it doesn't have a little latch. I'm going to do a dedicated video on this rifle in future, but for the moment, I just wanted to showcase this. This is something that it could have been. The Norwegian pattern C8 rifle. It still has the flip down front sight if the developers really wanted that. You could still have your laser and light combos like you have in the game. You still have your ACOGs, and you could use Aimpoint T2s, or you could use the Comp M5S, which is a really interesting optic that is specific to a lot of special operations forces, in which the Comp M5 usually has the battery, it sits along the top. The Comp M5S has the battery sitting on the bottom, so it doesn't intrude your vision as much. And that would have been a really cool thing to have in a video game. Now granted, most people are not going to know that because they're not massive gun nerds and kind of tistic like the rest of us, but that would have been a really cool thing to have. They also use Glocks. This is a Glock 17. Again, it's airsoft.
Really?
And that could have been, just a cool thing to have in your game to kind of spice things up, differentiate you from everyone else out there who's got, typical American SOF in their games. Speaking of typical American SOF, let's look at MARSOC. Now, MARSOC is anything but typical when it comes to American special operations, because they're kind of for lack of a better term, they're the black sheep of the family in SOCOM. They were spun up in 2007, I believe. 2008, I think they were fully underway, getting things going with operations and stuff. They are a kind of interesting breed. The Marine Corps prides itself on really, making do with what they've got and not spending a ton of money. And so MARSOC fell into this weird category where they needed to spend more money, but the Marine Corps also didn't want to spend more money. So they ended up kind of having this weird thing where a lot of things you see in MARSOC are personal purchase kit that the operators had to get, or unit level purchases that they just had to do because their command didn't buy it. It's not like the Green Berets, not the SEALs, where basically they get 3 of everything and there you go, slap them on the rifles and they all look the same. MARSOC has a lot of uniqueness to them. Now, MARSOC has started transitioning to the URG-I as of 2025. There is still a lot of use though for the Mark 18. It's a tried and true workhorse and it just will not die. This is a good representation of what a MARSOC CQB-R carbine would be. You've got the Engel, those are pretty common now. You've got the regular Surefire. The Knight's NT4 can is a workhorse of a can. It's incredibly heavy comparative to other cans out there, but you can basically, you could probably build a house with this thing, to be quite honest, before it actually ever, you know, broke apart. Marsoc obviously decides to swap out a lot of their furniture. We are seeing a lot more of the risers now, because that does help a little bit with your shooting. It allows you to keep more of an upright head posture. But this is a good representation of what the Marsoc rifle should be in the game. Call of Duty obviously already made the Block 2 Mark 18 style, so Battlefield, why couldn't you have done this? This is just a classic look from the GWAT era. It's still a workhorse of a rifle today, and it's just something that honestly would have been great to have in game, help differentiate you a little bit from Call of Duty if you'd gone this route and tried to do it specifically like this, with the NT4 can, the wrists, everything, maybe an optic with a riser. You don't have to, you could have gone with the EOTech EXPS3 or something like that, but this would have helped set you apart, I think, if you tried to be a little more attention to detail with what Marsoc was using, or is using, as opposed to, you know, your basic BM4. And that is it for the weapons. I do hope y'all appreciated this brief overview. Really didn't get into the nitty-gritty details of any of these one particular builds. Those are for separate videos in future. I will be doing a full video on the Norwegian C8, and then the Mark 18 just does tend to call to me quite often. So if you haven't seen the other two parts of this video series, by all means, check out the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate those of you who have, and the support. If you want to contribute to the channel and help me make some things like this, I will have a Patreon link down in the description. By all means, feel free to just write a hurtful comment of how I'm grifting for money and don't deserve anything that you would give me. But for those of you who do, I sincerely appreciate the support. I'll be dropping all the videos that I make early on Patreon, so y'all will be able to see them, and maybe a little more goodies here or there for y'all. Trying to make it as affordable as possible for me to do this, but also bring y'all the content you want to see. Again, really appreciate the support. I'll see y'all next time.